Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon here in the United States. Good evening over there in the UK. Jay, how are you?
Really hot.
Is it hot over there?
Oh my Lord. I turned the aircon off 2 minutes ago because we're going live and it's very loud. But it's gone muggy today. So like,
Oh yeah.
we're not built for this, mate. We're built for drizzle in this country. We're not built for like 37 degrees centigrade. You know, half of the country's on fire. Anybody says to me, global warming, is that a thing? I'm going to punch them in the throat.
Oh my
Because I'm
gosh, I'm
really
so
hot.
sick. Now, and where are you in the UK?
I'm in the West Midlands, right in the middle of where everything's on fire. But to be fair, I'm going to be a bit reasonable because we're Britain. We don't quite do the same things on the same scale as you guys. So you know how like when you have a forest fire and like half the state goes up,
Yeah.
we've got fires that are like, you know, a bush. There was a couple of deaths yesterday though, and like 9 ambulance crew ended up in hospital and stuff. And for us, we'll say that's unusual. It doesn't really happen. Yeah, it's too hot. We don't like it. But we're getting rain over the weekend. We haven't seen it in months.
Well, I know it's gonna. I mean, we had a lot of humidity here in Atlanta yesterday, and someone just told me it's going to be like in the high 90s for the next week. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just brutal. But anyway,
Yeah.
I want to welcome everyone who's joining us. So we've done this. Jay and I have done this before. This is the Omega Directive podcast, where we just get together. Just basically, Jay and I are just two Star Trek geeks, science fiction geeks, and we love all the same stuff. So we always wind up talking about Stargate or Orville or Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever the case may be. So Jay, tell me. I watch Jay's. If you do not watch Tachyon Pulse podcast, you should subscribe to it. Make sure you hit the notifications so you get notifications every day. I'll put a banner up about that because he's the one kind of news commentary podcast I watch on a daily basis. So you should too, because he's good and he covers everything. And Jay's done a great job getting to know important people in the entertainment industry. I'm sorry?
I was completely by accident. I've built up a really nice network of people I speak to quite regularly. And people, I keep getting asked, how did you get these sources? Did you go to school with somebody? He goes, no, I did a video that was completely wrong. And a guy corrected me. And it just happened to be that guy worked at MGM.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, on Star Trek, I mean, I've pretty much been at the front of sort of Kurtzman not getting a deal and why he's not getting a deal. And a lot of the negotiations.
Yeah, your reporting on that whole thing has been really, really good because I think you've been, unlike the whole crazy hatosphere that's been telling us Kurtzman was fired for the past 9 years. You've been very measured about it, and you always say, "Look, this is a rumor, but this is what we hear," And so as I've been following it, it's been great.
I remember doing a video a couple of years ago now, going, "He can't be fired, for the love of God! He's got a contract. He owns the company. Who's firing him?" I mean, let's be sensible about this, but. Yeah, I mean, I am speaking to somebody on Sunday, actually, that's got really good insight into this. He's a really good source of Paramount. And he's already told me a few little bits that I'm not really allowed to share yet. But one of the things I interested about this was that actually when Ellison came in to Paramount, he had already decided what was happening with Star Trek. According to this chap, there was stuff going on about Section 31 and blah blah blah, but apparently Dave Ellison came in, he had 100%, he'd already decided what was going on. I think that just shows, I actually think Dave Ellison is a really creative guy. You look at his career, he's a failed musician, a failed documentary maker, a failed something else, but he's a really creative vision. And Skydance, it's made some crap, don't get me wrong, but they actually made some really good movies. And over the years, I don't know about yourself, but I remember thinking every time I see the Skydance logo, I'm like, oh, okay, this might be all right. They've made some really good films, and he's taken that through into Paramount, hopefully. But when it comes to the big things that they own, Dave Ellison's got a pretty good idea, and it's apparently he's really hands-on with what's happening with franchises.
That's awesome.
What's going to be happening in the next couple of years is 100% Dave Ellison's plan. So we'll have to see what happens. But,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first went to the Skydance website, maybe a year and a half ago, like when you first heard about it and things were first starting to happen, they were first closing that deal. I went to their website and I started looking around and going, damn, this is a really impressive website. They're doing I didn't know about their gaming work, and that they hired John Lasseter from Pixar to run their. I was like, holy crap! So yeah, I was really impressed with that. So I have, we have been waiting patiently for everything to shake out with Kurtzman, because I always felt, and a lot of it based on what listening to what you're saying and listening to other things, but a lot of what you're saying, that Kurtzman was getting, he was going to get the soft boot, and that, I don't think they're in a rush to do anything with Star Trek. It seems to me the smart move is, they're doing the movie thing, but which I have questions about, which maybe you can answer. But I think they're taking a slow, steady approach towards it, because they don't need to do anything with Star Trek right now. They don't. There's no rush to make new Star Trek. They got Academy season 2. Yes, they got Strange New Worlds season 5. Okay, but there's no rush. People are, and I think, they need the sherbet between courses. They need to clean the palate, and let fans settle down and forget, how much. And not everyone hates Kurtzman Trek. I get it. Whenever I say anything,
it still gets good views. It's not like it's most hated show on the planet. Then they get good minutes for Paramount. I mean, I did something where I looked at the minutes between Paramount, and then I did a bit of maths, and I basically said, if they got this percentage on Amazon, which is a larger platform, their minutes would be up there with all the Star Wars TV shows. Said so. It's the minutes they get is not a fair representation in a way, because it's a much smaller platform it's being shown on. If they put it on Netflix, they would get minutes that were equivalent to what Star Wars TV shows get. And the popular, not first the Mandalorians, they got like 1 billion minutes or something. But don't get me wrong, Section 31, even doing a bit of math, still did really badly. And so did Academy. But you look at the numbers for Strange New Worlds as a percentage of the platform. It's up there with some of the TV shows for that. I think I looked at Section 31, and for the first 2 weeks, it was up there with Acolyte, which just shows how bad it was, to be honest, because Acolyte's awful. But it was up there with Ben Kenobi and all those sort of shows. Strange New Worlds is relatively popular. 3rd season dipped.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And listen, I've been a fan of Stranger Worlds, and I think you and I talked about it, but the crossover episode with the Lower Decks guys is one of my 5 favorite Star Trek episodes of all time. I can watch that one over and over.
You've got the traditional Star Trek shows and the quirky shows.
Yeah,
I think that's my favorite quirky show. Data as Sherlock Holmes, or all these other shows I've had over the years. That's my favorite. When Star Trek has tried to be funny, generally it's awful. That was genuinely funny.
It was.
Viking Maneuver is still one of my favorite moments. I loved it. But they genuinely took what I love about Lower Decks, and they smashed it with Strange New Worlds, and they did a great job.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And the way they reframed the Orions in that episode showed a lot of that. that was the writers, and the writers were really smart about that, and
Yeah.
giving that captain an interesting take, because the Orions are like the most complex. They are the most complex characters in all of Star Trek, whether you realize it or not. When you realize what we knew about Orions in TOS, and then how that got turned around in Enterprise, and how they and they weren't, those writers weren't afraid to go right at Orions and go, we're going to redefine them again. And I was like, okay, that's like the C story in that whole arc. But yeah. So anyway, so kudos to them. I don't want to disparage Strange New Worlds, because there's so much to love about it. Even when they're missing the mark on more often than not, maybe lately. So tell me about. I have not watched any of season 4. So give us your take on season 4 so far of Strange New Worlds.
It's just to be honest. The first episode I actually quite enjoyed. It was fine. I'm not gonna do any backflips, because partly because I'm an old man and I'd break my face if I tried. But it was fine. I didn't get bored. It was fine. The second episode, they basically every episode since has been something else. So they tried to do like this horror episode. It's like Horizon or something, and they stole bits from the film. They were straight up scenes where you go, that scene was in Event Horizon. Then they tried to do a comedy episode, which was straight up from The Hangover or Dude, Where's My Car or something. But they directly took bits out of The Hangover. At one point, Pike's got tattoos on his face, and I don't know if you remember the Hangover movie. One of them wakes up with tattoos on his face.
I never saw it.
Well, there you go. In the film, there's the bit where they can't find their mate, and it turns out he's on the roof, and they lose the shuttle in the episode. It's on the roof, and I'm just like, it's straight up stolen bits, and it's stupid. And there are so many bits in it. I kept joking that they would definitely have come all back with STDs, because they went on this planet, and basically the atmosphere makes them all drunk, and then Ortega and Scotty wake up in the morning and can't remember anything that happened the 24 hours before, and then they go see Uhura, and I think this might be a little bit racist, but they go to Uhura and she's got all this big hair and waiting this like 70s stuff, and there's loads of smoke coming from the room, like they've been like smoking doobies or something, and then she's just like, she's definitely coming back with an STD. It's just awful. And then the last episode they did is Star Trek Noir, which is Casablanca, but with the styling of Metropolis. I don't know if you remember with the buildings and stuff. They look exactly. Of course. They've got the blimps in the sky and everything, even though they've then got technology. So they've, or Flash Gordon, like the original of the Flash Gordon series. They've got technology that looks like it's come from that, like with bloody valves and stuff coming off it. But then they've got iPads as well, and a shield that protects the planet, or is a detection system that they're going to turn into a shield. It's just, if anybody watched my video yesterday, it was painful. I actually hurt my head.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, how's your head doing after that intro?
Well, the thing was, I did that start 3 times, right? Because of different reasons. I hadn't got the camera quite right. I'd already decided I was going to do it, so I did it. By the third time, the time you actually see me in the video, yeah, it's quite painful, actually.
You needed to put down like a foam on your desk.
No.
And just had the
desk. Quite hard.
Oh, God.
There's a bit like I remember talking about when he did the Firefly movie, and there's a scene where he drops down onto the glass thing that they're fighting on, and he says he did it, and he just did it because I'm just going to fully commit to this, and then he did it, and they went, did you get it? And I went, yeah, we got it, Nathan, we're not doing it again. Because what do you mean, what? And his eye was like so yeah, I felt a bit like that, but it was a fun video to do. I try to have fun in my videos, but when an episode has got so many things in it like that did, that were just moronic, that it's very easy to take the piss out of, and which makes for a fun video. I didn't enjoy the episode. And there's just too many things in it. You just go, what? Like, Una turns up on the planet and just happens to be an exact doppelganger for the head of the resistance and the most important person on the planet. I'm like, are you taking the piss? I mean, seriously, what? And there's just like all these moments throughout. They're just like, I kept saying, obviously, because I said, I'm going to replace the swearing I want to do with the word, obviously. And I suppose I said it about 12 times. One thing I didn't know until today, and I saw it on screen, right? They're not showing these episodes in the order that they told reporters they were going to show them in. So they've shown it in a different order. And nobody knows why. It will be a question for Sunday. Why have they done it? Because it's last minute. Because they release the first 6 episodes and reporters and stuff, so people get to see them. So I know people. I know why we've got puppets, and I'm not sharing because I've been told I'm not allowed. But it's obvious and lazy, and it's not sci-fi at all. It's something else. So it's not like the musical who said, there's a universe strengthening from another planet, another universe, or bloody whatever, that made no sense. They've just gone, I won't say. I'll tell you after, right?
That sounds good.
No, it's going to be bad. But we've got to put up with it. We haven't got a choice. So, but the screenwriter's saying, look, this is not the order. Hey, Juliet, how you doing, my lady? This is not the order they told us this was going to drop in. And actually, if you look at Lan's arc with the thing where she's punching a dinosaur and stuff, then realizing she's getting a problem, that episode was supposed to be later. The episode from yesterday where she goes to Nurse Chapel saying, I'm getting worried because I feel very aggressive, was supposed to be earlier. So what they've basically said is, if you actually look at La'an's character arc, it doesn't really make sense. It's supposed to be like escalating, and instead it's bloody all over the place. But nobody knows why they've done it. And they must have decided to do it very recently, because when they released it to the reporters, just like 6 weeks ago, they told them it was going to be different. So they've changed the order in the last month. Nobody knows why. It's weird. We'll put it that way. I don't quite understand why they would do that, unless they're trying to. It's a later episode. They want to do a different order or something. But you don't produce a series for streaming and then just put it out in a different order. You just don't really do that. It's strange.
Yeah, strange. I'm going to take this time to say, if everyone could like this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, whichever channel you're seeing this on, and hit the bell icon to get notifications, because we want to, just so you know how the way YouTube works, when you're watching a live stream and you do that, when you're watching a video, that helps spread the word. That means YouTube pays attention to engagement. So it's not just how many people. We've got 100 people watching right now. But if every one of those 100 people likes it, YouTube goes, oh, this is really good. Let's spread it around, and more people are going to see it. So please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Okay. And go sign up for the Tachyon Pulse podcast. That's real important. And hopefully you're a member of Axanar. Sign up for the Axanar YouTube channel as well.
Why not?
So and I'm going to mention Axanar right now. The Gathering Storm, the sequel to Prelude to Axanar, which in its first 2 days on YouTube had 125,000 views, which I am told is more than Starfleet Academy had in its first 2 days on YouTube. That will be up on
America.
What's that?
America.
In America?
America.
Not told, but in America. Okay. So we will have it. It will be back up on the Axanar website. We have a new part of Axanar called Axanar On Demand, which is the all 5 Axanar films, and you get to stream them for free or download them for free. You just go there, boom, take care of it, watch them. So the Gathering Storm will be up next Tuesday, I believe it is. It will be up on beta.axanar.com, and I'll put that up here. So there you go.
Feel the decision that got it to up on YouTube.
So I appealed it. Yeah, YouTube denied my appeal, which they're really not supposed to, but they're beholden to Paramount, I guess.
It's does it though is the problem. It's
What's
supposed
that?
to be AI that does. Don't know for YouTube. People don't
Yeah,
review these.
yeah.
Haven't.
So, but when we posted it on our site, then CBS filed a DMCA takedown notice on our site with the web host that's hosting it, who just passed it on to us. And they're very different. They're like, look, here's the deal. And they just follow the letter of the law, which is someone files a DMCA, you can file a counter notification. They have 10 days to file a lawsuit against you. If they don't, it goes back up. So it goes back up either Monday or Tuesday next week. And because CBS can't sue me again.
But you've got an agreement with CBS, haven't you? There was a thing. So
yeah, and the agreement specifically states they can't. It specifically states the only thing they can do is take us to arbitration. They violated it. The lawyers are scumbags. The lawyer basically said, "Screw you. We're gonna do it anyway." What's that?
Lawyers are never scumbags. They are very honourable people that never do anything just for money. I remember I used to work in a job once, and I had a little sandwich shop. Right? So I used to work in mental health for years, and I just burned out. I got sick of it. So I had a little sandwich shop, and it was just a little unit in the middle of and the buildings around it. And I just sat there going, saying, I'm going to get sucked down into the third layer of hell here. I had a lawyers there, a insurance company there that was a bit of trouble at the time, and an IBM server thing behind me that was doing a load of work for the British government. And I'm like, I think the only reason I survived that and didn't end up getting sucked into the seventh dimension of hell was because there was an NHS building over here actually saving people's lives. So I'm like, it evens it out a little bit.
Good karma.
It just evened it out. But,
yeah. So anyway, so that's the ongoing, and we separate Paramount, the new Paramount, from CBS, right? Obviously, Paramount owns CBS, but the old guard, here we are on the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, and CBS sued us on the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and wasted that whole year, with all the bad news about that. So I kind of feel like when the new Paramount gets around to paying attention to Star Trek in the way they want, I think everything will hopefully get resolved, because the people over at CBS, like when are they gonna leave and take their bitterness with them? And we remain positive Star Trek fans.
It's like I said to you before, though. It's just speaking to some of the people I do speak to. There's the new bosses have come in. There's been a load of firings. There's been a load of hirings and stuff, and there are people all over CBS, Paramount, etc. They don't quite know what the bosses want. There's an element of they sort of, and I don't know if this has affected you or not, but there's a sort of opinion of almost like people overthinking and people overreacting at certain levels at certain things because they don't know what the higher ups want from them yet. Apparently the upper management sort of thing at Paramount is basically the Skydance guys, and it's still quite a small team, and they're in the process of sort of trying to get hold of what Paramount is, which is a monster. So I don't know, man, we'll see how things shake. It may be just CBS going for it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've kept to the letter of the agreement that you had with them before, they can't do anything about it. From my point of view, I'm not interested in that in a way. I just really liked it. I got to see it before it got took down. I thought it was really good. I thought it sits in a period of Star Trek that I really love. I think it's really clever what you've done with it. I'm really glad I got to see it. I hope you get it on again because I want everyone else to see it because it's genuinely really good. And I think I said to you when we talked about this on Tachyon that the one complaint I had, somebody was like, well, he's written this and then he starred himself in the role. And I'm like, you would. What are you talking about? all Star Trek fans, we fantasize. I wish I was the captain of a starship. I wish I was the hero of this story. So I piss off with your hypocrisy. Everybody would. So,
everyone does. James Cawley made himself Kirk. Then Vic Mignogna made himself Kirk, and then it goes on. And but, yeah, we'll do a fan film and make you a captain. I need to hook you up with Sam Cockings. He does a bunch of.
We'd all be.
He does.
But I could do it. I'd be like, I'd hit my head on the control panel and.
Or we'll make you an admiral.
I want to be captain of a Daedalus, so you need to do a Stargate. Then you get sued by Amazon instead, just to mix all of them and get sued by all. Star Wars.
I know, because right now, as far as I know, I have the record for being sued by the most studios in Hollywood, 2 CBS and Paramount. So maybe I can. And I'm a huge Stargate fan.
I know.
I love it. And as a matter of fact, when I was at San Diego Comic-Con, obviously we premiered The Gathering Storm at San Diego. And one day, Crystal and I were going to. There's a little hole in the wall pizza place, so we went to get pizza, and David Reed was there. If you know David, who's does Dial the Gate is his.
You're touching a nerve here, sir.
Oh, am I? Do you not get along with
you know as well?
Oh, that's right, because he said something about you.
Yes, he did.
And I had to come to your defense and say, really, Jay's such a nice guy. He's like, oh, well, he was wrong about this or that. I go,
I was wrong about nothing, actually. Anyway, now let's not go there. Open a can of worms.
Okay, that's good. I will say, Dave, I will tell you let me tell you a funny David Reed story. This is great. If anyone knows David, he is one of the biggest. When we did the Battlestar, so I had a company called PropWorks. Let me back up. PropWorks, it was an auction house. And it started because I pitched NBC to do the auctions for Battlestar Galactica when it ended. So we did those, and they were wildly successful. And one of the things I did was I found the guy who was running the Battlestar Galactica Wikipedia, and hired him to do all. He was amazing. So when we did Stargate, we got the Stargate gig. I did the same thing. I said, "Who's the guy for Stargate that I can rely on? Who has that insane, savant level knowledge?" And David came to the top. And so we took David when we went up there to put everything in like 5 tractor trailers and ship it down to the United States. Dave came with us, and it was my team who had worked with me on Battlestar plus David. And David was such a fan at that point. He was such a fanboy. So we go into the costume lockup where there's nothing but like 10,000 square feet of costumes, right? And we're all like, okay, let's get these in boxes. Let's do that. And David's like, oh, look at this. This is Braytak's costume from season 5 in episode. And he's not doing any work the first half of the day. He's just fanboying on everything. And and my team came up to me and said, and so I said, David, listen, I know you love Stargate. You can oodle this stuff all you want when we're in the United States. Right now, you need to work, and I'm getting a complaint that you're not working. And he goes, well, who's complaining about that? Me. And I said, everybody. And so after that, he was great, and he did a great job for us, David. So I feel bad that you two are not on speaking terms because you're both great people.
It's been going on a while, if I'm honest. But even when he's been told he's wrong, he isn't interested. So the thing was, he said, how is some British guy getting to find out all this information? I'm like, I don't know, man, but I keep being proved right. So even in that video, he says, just because he's been proved right a couple of times. And I was like, a couple? But look, he's got a problem with me. I ain't particularly got a problem with him, other than that stupid little video he did. I'd prefer, he didn't name me. So in a way, but everyone knows what he was talking about. And so I wish he'd have the balls just to say it, to be honest. But look, they're invested in the Martin Giro Stargate. They want that to happen. They didn't like a video where I said it probably wasn't going to happen. They didn't like it. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate. I'm not.
Benjamin, I'm just going to say, Benjamin, send me an email, Alec at Axanar.com, and I'll help you out here. I have
Brilliant.
to answer.
Just to wrap up the David Reed thing, he does a brilliant job on Alec. He's a massive lover of Stargate. I have absolutely no guy. I wish he hadn't done that. I wish he'd talked to me rather than do that. I wish he'd talked to the people that we have mutual friends rather than do that. I think people that actually listen to my podcast, listen to what I'm saying, know that what he's saying was nonsense. But it happened. I'm about it. Move on.
Yeah, there's just, unfortunately, there's a lot of drama. Geeks create drama where there doesn't need to be drama.
Yeah.
And I think I just yesterday or the day before, some small little YouTube channel, some guy posted about, the problem with Axanar, and his whole beef was there's no movie. That that they raised all this money and there's no movie. Well, okay. And I was like, dude, do you know the story? Do you know that we got sued? Do you know that CBS said there is not a? He goes, yeah, but there's no movie. I go, you raise money and there's no movie. I go, so I'm like, okay, first of all, why didn't you contact me before you did this video? Like, I would have been on the video with you. I mean, I'm so accessible. Anyone can pick up and say, hey, Alec, you want to live stream with me? I'm going, yeah, sure. What? I got nothing better to do. So but geeks love drama, and in a way, part of it is because of the introverted nature of many of us geeks. Not me, of course, but many geeks are so introverted that they, for whatever reason, they don't want to engage other geeks. Whereas I think you're like me in that I'm like, I love this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this with you. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to have that conversation. And so I wish more people in this space who are catering towards us nerds, us fans, whatever you want to call us, would engage each other, and minimize the drama. And instead of sniping at each other, how about working together like you and I are doing right here? Two different channels getting together, right? And we may do a separate channel that's an amalgamation of the two of us, because it's more fun. Who wants to just bitch about shit for the rest of your life?
Yeah, and it's like I said earlier, I know there's that controversy with you, and my attitude is, well, sue him. I'm just talking about Stargate and Star Trek and sci-fi. I'm not, and I've had grief from talking to you or talking to other people, and I'm just like, no, I was talking about Star Trek. All that stuff is nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. If you've got evidence that Alec Peters did something wrong, crack on with it. Do something about it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. It's got nothing to do with me. I get called a liar all the time. And I remember about a week before Firefly got announced, which I was been telling people for like a year it was going to happen. Somebody put down, yeah, but don't forget, this is the guy that said Firefly was happening. And then like a week later it was announced, or a couple of weeks later. I remember a bunch of comments just going, this aged well. Something. Yeah, you've just got to not worry about it. And every so often I'll have a bad day and I will engage with somebody that calls me a bullshit artist. And I did it a few weeks ago. I listed all the things just in the last 12 months that I've dropped first before anybody. And then I just, after about the 9th message, I'm just like, why am I doing this? He's not going to change his mind. And he's just baiting me. He just wants to get, I'm just wasting my evening talking to some guy that doesn't listen to what I say. So, oh, you said this, you said that. And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. Listen. There's no point, mate. There's no point.
Oh, no. No, if I have to hear another idiot say Axanar killed Star Trek fan films, my answer is always the same. It's like, okay, you have never watched a Star Trek fan film if you say that. You're regurgitating something you heard on the internet. Axanar, oh, they got sued, and that's why there are no Star Trek fan films. There are more Star Trek fan films in the last 10 years than in the first 50 years of Star Trek. Why? Because of the guidelines. Because the guidelines made it kind of democratized it, and they got away from these big productions like ours and Star Trek New Voyages and Star Trek Continues and Star Trek Renegades, and brought it down to the fan film level, to the real, true fan film level.
Without getting sued as well. You've just got to make sure you just stay this side of sort of like So one of your problems, if I understand copyright law, was that your ship was a bit too good.
Exactly.
Like Star Trek episode, I think didn't you use I think the uniforms were a bit too accurate and things like that. You needed to almost like do it less well, and you probably wouldn't have got sued. But there are ways. I could do a fan fiction for Stargate, and as long as I'm really careful that I just keep it this side of like anything, then you can do it. But you've got to imply it's a Stargate rather than actually like call it Stargate, the blah blah blah. And so there is a way to do it.
Listen, if you want to do Stargate and you bring back the entire original cast to reprise their roles, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you're a couple of fans who put on Stargate, army uniforms and go run around a Ren fair, that's no one's going to care.
It's like they can't copyright the Stargate really because it's a ring that you can go to other galaxies with. That's been done otherwise. You can't,
of course,
but you can copyright O'Neill, for example, or something like that, a character. So there are ways to do it. It's just how to do it. It's just like, but yeah, like, look, you went through a nightmare. You then went through COVID. You've then put something out that for me, okay, that's not a movie, but you're building towards that, and the quality of the last 15-minute thing as well is nobody can say that. I would say the CGI. I don't know you did that on that budget. I think it's perfectly good. It's maybe what CGI would have been 8 or 9 years ago, maybe on a proper television show. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you've been talking for a while. I know how long it's took you to do this and how much hard work it's been doing things on a shoestring, as little money as you could. It's hard. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. They've got a plan for Star Trek, and I'm afraid it's that might be part of why they've come down on you, I suppose, because they've got a plan for Star Trek, and it's not. It's not going to include that. I don't know why they're bothering. I honestly don't know why they're bothering. I would consider Axanar free advertising, as far as I was concerned.
That's exactly the way. Yeah, exactly the way they should. It's as Damon Lindelof, one of the top writers in Hollywood, said. If Axanar is shit, it's not going to hurt Star Trek, and if Axanar is good, it's just free advertising. It's all good.
Except it makes Kurtzman Trek look stupid. It may, but I think it's going to appeal to the people that don't like Kurtzman Trek more than those that do, because it's old school Star Trek. It's it feels like it fits in with the movies. It almost feels like a bonus. You used to like the bonus things on DVDs back in the day. It feels like it could be like that. They've done a movie, the Axanar battle, and this is like a bonus track thing they put on it. That's what it feels like, and there's nothing bad about that as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how to do it, but anyway, we were only going to mention Axanar briefly.
What else? Okay, so what's the state of Stargate right now? Just tell everyone, since we're talking about what's the state now that MGM has canceled the Stargate show that was in development because the fans like it too much.
Yeah,
I guess that's it. You have to make something that the fans don't like.
New series too much apparently. There's been a few different things come out. So basically, that's what that was leaked through Deadline and Variety. Was that they thought it was too focused on the original fans and wouldn't appeal to a larger fan base. My understanding is the new executives came in. For whatever reason, they didn't love what they were getting. Maybe it was partly that they've made this excuse about things. But it seems to be that they want to do Stargate. They just didn't want to do somebody else's Stargate. They didn't love what they were reading as well. The budget seems to have been questioned very last minute, the budget that was offered. And these executives sort of had ideas about doing something else. And it seems to be that's right. And they convinced Mike Hopkins of that. I've heard various stories about why this wasn't liked. Somebody told me that it was because they thought it was too woke, and they're desperately trying to get away from that. I don't really believe that, but that was one rumor that went around. It seems to be where we're at right now is that nothing is happening. The hashtag Save Stargate project has got really good traction, and they've noticed, but then it's not shifting the dial at all. And Deadline said they're looking for new writers. So Stargate isn't dead. It's going to come back. We just don't know in what form, and it won't be Martin Giro's project as it stands right now, which is a shame in lots of ways. I would love to have seen what they'd have done. I'd love to have seen what Brad Writer's executive producer and consultant would have done. But it seems that, yeah, we're not going to get that. But Save Stargate, it's going to come back. What we really want to do is save Brad Wright's Stargate, because I think it's going to be a hard reboot. Or at very least a hybrid reboot that feels like a hard reboot, which basically means Stargate in name only, which will be a horrible shame.
Yeah, it's hard to understand. Now, listen, there aren't many great executives in Hollywood, right? You know, when you're a Hollywood executive and you're greenlighting Knight Rider at NBC for a reboot a few years ago, you've really dug the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, it's getting
what's that?
Movie. We're getting a Knight Rider movie.
Oh God help us. There's no original ideas, but what I don't understand is there is a Stargate fandom.
Yeah,
there's a base, so you know that you're going to have a base of support if in the way they were developing it. But what they're saying is, oh, we don't want that. We want something new. So you want to recreate something. You don't want to take that base and give them what they like, but make it broader and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't get that. It's like, you're going to have an assault base. A lot of those people are not your subscribers now, and they will be just because you release this show. And if it's a good show, it's a good show. It's going to explode. And, the problem is what they tried to do with Star Trek 2 is what CBS said 10 years ago. I remember what they said. I remember John Van Sitter saying, well, we don't care about the Star Trek fan base because they're going to come see it no matter what. I was like, that's a weird thing to say. But that's the way they're saying about Star. Well, we don't care about the Stargate fan base. We want a bigger. Well, you have to start somewhere. So how about starting with a Stargate fan base and make it really good, and it will, and it'll blow up.
You do a show that's good, and people will come. But TNG is kind of the example here, and you have to remember you look at TNG and the original series next to each other, they are very different, obviously, because they're like 30 years apart, but tonally, in lots and lots of ways, that's very different. Not the first two seasons where Roddenberry was still involved, or the first season where Roddenberry was still heavily involved. That felt more original series, Riker in a skirt and things like that. But those shows they're almost as different as they are the same. If you're going to do that though, and you're going to do like what is effectively a soft reboot, you've got to have a decent gap between the two. And they could do that with Stargate now. And they could do something that's best part of 20 years later. But it won't feel like SG-1 in lots of ways. They've got to move on. And if they do that right, fans will go ballistic, to be honest, like they did when TNG got released. But Amazon have got to be brave enough to ride that storm, because when it was released, like when Voyager was released, DS9 was released, Enterprise was released, there will be resistance. But if it's good, it'll explode. Because our Stargate fans will watch it, even if we sort of go in the first season, what the hell is this? If the second season, third season, we will fall in love with it. But they've got to be brave enough to ride that storm. They've got to be brave enough to do too much. What Amazon was doing with Martin Giro's project, they were saying, yeah, we want to do this sort of like hybrid reboot where, okay, you can change certain things. We're not going to be, we're not going to be like really rigid with it, but it's got to have this core canon, whatever you want to call it, that Stargate. They spent a lot of time figuring out what that meant early on. They brought several different people in, Mark Ferguson, Hawk Ostby, for example. Again, that was me that told you that first. They were brought in to do that. And that's what they did. This hybrid idea isn't new because it's what TNG was. They took the original series and they went, okay, this is now 100 years later. What does it look like? And they did change a lot. They modernized it for the time. And people hate the term, oh, we're going to modernize it for a modern audience. It's exactly what TNG was. They took the show, the original series, and they modernized it for that audience at the time. People shouldn't be so scared to hear that, It's got to be different and modernized a little bit, and whatever else. Because remember, Stargate come from the 90s, early noughties. It is a bit different now. Just the fact it'll be on streaming, it's a different format. It will be done differently. But it's as long as it's got that core of Stargate, like TNG had that core of Star Trek, we will get on board with it as fans. There will be stuff we don't like, but then they can correct it for season 2, like they do with most shows like this. But if they hard reboot it, I think they'll be going for a new audience, and the core audience will freak out. We will not like it. It better be really, really good if they do that. And if it is good, we'll forget. My point. If it's good, we'll forget.
Because the Battlestar Galactica reboot that's the prototype for the hard reboot that does it right.
Yeah. And remember in this,
but that's also the exception.
They sort of imply in a couple of times in Battlestar Galactica that it's not quite a hard reboot and that it's really a continuation of thing, but it is a hard. But they sort of make out in a couple of ways, maybe it's like a battle. But
they were respectful. Look, it was. I thought it was respectful, right? But it was such. Look.
Well, Babylon 5 might be the next one to get a hard reboot. So Warner are interested. They would like to do it. They had it lined up with JMS. He wrote a script. They couldn't sell it. And then this was through the writer's strikes and things. They couldn't sell it. Warner Brothers don't necessarily want to make it for HBO. They wanted to make it for somebody else. That was what the plan was at the time. Warner Brothers are doing that a lot. They want to make TV shows, but they don't really want to make it for themselves. They want somebody else to pay for it. And then they do it. And then it's like zero risk. Like what we did Ted Lasso. Apple pay them to produce it. They've got zero risk. If it does brilliantly, they don't really get any more money. But the main thing is if it fails, it's fine. Sort of thing. So but that's what Warner Brothers were doing a lot at the time. I think that'll change over the next few years once Paramount get in and money's, hopefully they can sort something out with the debt. But they're thinking about doing the same thing now with Babylon 5, but not including JMS. According to the people, according to rumors, they're open to take pictures from other people to see who's got an idea for it. If you get a Ronald type person, it could be awesome. But if you don't, it's going to be like, how many hard reboots have we seen over the years? Like Knight Rider, like you mentioned earlier, that's just bad because they don't have the budget, they don't have the idea, and they generally cast it really badly. Do you remember, like they did a Flash Gordon version a couple of years ago, and it was genuinely embarrassing to watch. Most people forgot it even happened, but it was a modernized version of Flash Gordon. It was awful.
Oh gosh.
There's been so many of them over the years, mate. Even Battlestar Galactica kind of had a reboot when they did Battlestar Galactica. Was it 1985, 1982? I forget what it was called.
1980. Galactica 1980, yeah.
Second season of Airwolf with Barry Van Dyke was kind of like a reboot. They generally don't work. Or if they do work, you've got to have a decent gap, like 30 years at least between them.
Well, that's why I say Battlestar Galactica was the exception. And something like Babylon 5, which I both love Babylon 5, one of my favorite shows, definitely one of my 5 desert island series, besides Deep Space Nine.
Seasons 2, 3, 4, maybe.
What's that?
Seasons 2, 3, and 4, maybe. I can leave the first season. I can leave the 5th season. 2, 3, and 4.
Agreed. No, I agree. It all happens in 2, 3, 4. Yeah. No, I think you're right. But that being said, that story it's already been out. So if you're going to redo the story of Babylon 5 is less about a setting and more about a story. Like if you talk about Deep Space Nine is a setting. It's in general, it's the evolution of Cisco as the prophet and the Dominion War. But you could read. Listen, you could read. What's that?
Yeah. Out of the Star Trek series, you picked the worst one to make that example with. I think Enterprise,
True.
Star Trek, TNG, sorry, was a setting, definitely. Voyager was.
Yes.
They had a story through. DS9 is the only one that really had an overarching story.
It had an arc, yeah.
They stopped Babylon 5. That is more, it was about the story, it was about showing the dark side of the Federation, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, TNG is...
or Voyager, yeah.
Characters, Monster of the Week. Go. So I think...
because literally, if magically all the actors were, young again, you could pick up on season 8 of Next Generation.
Yeah.
You could do that and start new stories. Babylon 5 had an ending. That story ended. And that story is a specific story about the coming of the Shadows and the war and Psychor and all those things. So you're going to retell that. That just seems a little weird to me especially without JMS, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird with JMS. So JMS wants to retell his own story 25 years later.
Yeah.
It just seems weird to me. And
a boots up reboot, he called it, a boots up hard reboot. And he said that he was really excited to see what he would do with that original story. Now he's got all this experience. Well, what he did with it, studios weren't interested in anyway. So I heard like Roku might have done it at one point, and that's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm afraid that would be a struggle, I think, with the budget and things. It was a weird time for them to try to do it after the writers' strikes and a massive contraction of Hollywood. So I think maybe it came along at just the worst possible moment, a bit like the 2009 reboot that Brad Wright tried to do with Stargate that nearly happened just as 2019, just as COVID hit. That's what killed that, and then the sale went through and blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. The JMS Babylon 5 reboot is a similar sort of story. It just came at the worst possible moment. It was just a perfect storm of just bad timing. Or we'd be on the 2nd or 3rd season, that probably by now. We'll have to see if there's, but I don't know about you think. It doesn't feel like we're in a golden age of sci-fi at the moment. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of new sci-fi on the horizon. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about when it comes to Star Trek in a year, because unless they announce a new TV series, unless they announce United or something else, which I don't think they're going to, from what I'm hearing, they're going to focus on the movie and then maybe follow it up with something else after. I could see them maybe announcing something this time next year at San Diego Comic-Con, but remember then it'll be 2 years till it comes out, at least. I think the movie will be about 12 to 18 months after season 5 of Strange New Worlds drops, but maybe a little bit more, but because they're not even going in pre-production yet, they're still doing the script. So
and my question about the movie is going to be, what's the budget going to be for this movie?
It is going to be a healthy budget, apparently. I don't know what that means at the moment, but the decent source that I've got at Paramount that knows about these things, he just said it is going to be a healthy budget. The plan is for this to be a full-on reset of what they consider to be one of their major franchises. It's sort of like their top 3 Paramount franchise right now, particularly with sort of Yellowstone and stuff like that coming to an end. They consider this massively important. And they're looking at it thinking, well, they did the 1999, 2009 J.J. Abrams reboot, and that's kind of what they're looking at doing. But they want to reset. They called it a reset. And from my understanding, from talking to people even before that was announced, I was talking to people that had done sort of, when Paramount were in the process of buying it, they sort of put together a group of consultants, people from Paramount, people from Skydance, and a couple of externals, and they reviewed a lot of the major franchises, and they then reported back. And their report was, this Star Trek needs a reset. Don't renew Kurtzman's deal. There will be a short-term financial hit to that, but in the long term, it needs a reset because there is a lot of division within this fan base. There's a lot of anger at things like Section 31 that you're never going to shake off. So let's do a reset. And then Paramount bosses came out and used that exact word, a reset. And not a reboot, but a reset. And it's going to be in the future. Now, some people jumped on that means it's going to be after the end of Discovery. It's going to be in the blah, blah, blah. And no, it's going to be later than the movies. So it's going to be following on from the TNG movies. So it's going to be back into...
Which makes so much sense, which is where Discovery should have been in the first place.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, should have stayed in the prime timeline. 100%. I was hearing people at Paramount 4 years ago talking about how they were really unhappy the way Kurtzman was taking Star Trek. And they sort of paralleled it with Star Wars. And they said, it's too confusing. You've got a core audience, which makes up about 30 or 40% of your regular audience, that'll understand that these things are in different timelines and follow it. But then you've got a more relaxed audience sort of thing that might come in and out a little bit. And that makes up like 50% or so. Then you've got like a 10% they'll come in, not like it, and bugger off again. But anyway, so you've got that thing. They don't understand. They watch a show and they go, what time frame is this again? And that's what I've got with Star Wars. Because I'm not an ultra fan, I watch Mandalorian and I go, yeah, but when is this set? I don't understand where it is in the movies timeline. Where is it? And I because I don't have enough in that. They did try with Earth Final Conflict. They've never with Andromeda that I know of. There was an attempt with Earth Final Conflict a few years ago to sort of redo it because there was a feeling within that studio that it was done badly and they could do better.
It was.
But Andromeda, I've never heard of a reboot. Am I getting that the right way around?
I
think I'll get that right around. It might be.
Yeah, I loved Earth Final Conflict, but those shows, both those shows, all those, I don't know how all those shows in that whole Xena Hercules time period, were just a mess. Andromeda was a mess. And it's, I saw a video the other day talking about how it started out as this big, bold vision, and the writer had some great ideas, and it was going to talk about themes, and then it turned into the, into the Kevin Sorbo show, and it sucked. And ultimately, that show it's just way disappointing. Earth Final Conflict, same thing. It was like it kept changing. They kept changing the actors, and but I really liked Earth Final Conflict, but who knows? That's me. Someone asked a really good question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Actually, another one is Beyond. I've been following that for ages now. That there are executives at Disney that would love to do that and have been trying to get it rolling, but they want to just, because there was a 5-season arc and they're just going to redo it. They're going to say it's a crime that this got cancelled after the first season. So let's do it.
Which show is that?
Space Above and Beyond. And they've always, there's still gets into the top 10 greatest sci-fi shows of all time and this sort of thing. So there's been an attempt, but again, I think it's coming along at the wrong time because studios aren't invested in sci-fi at the moment. They just don't seem to be. They want to do stuff. If you're getting sci-fi, it's going to be on a smaller budget or on Apple. Nobody else seems to want to do it at the moment.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah. I think in some ways that makes it harder, more likely, but.
Good question. Do you think we sooner or later that we start using AI to make shows? It's already happening.
Yeah, I think it's already.
AI is progressing so much. I saw a Star Wars fan film. The Star Wars fan film guys have been doing AI now for well over a year, and it's been you can see the progress. You know, it went from basically talking heads to I just saw a film, a Star Wars fan film that I had to do a double take on and go, this is AI. Holy shit, this is amazing. And it was a full narrative. It wasn't talking heads. It was like ships and people walking and cinematography, and it was stunning. So I can tell you that it's already happening. And I know that once we're done with the finale of the Axanar trilogy, I'm going to start working on making the full-length Axanar feature in AI. So yeah, that's absolutely a plan of mine. And I just think AI will just keep getting better and better, that we're going to be able to do it. That it's not, it's amazing where AI filmmaking is going.
Yeah, I just got a major alert on my phone. I think there might be a fire nearby.
Oh no!
I can't smell.
As long as the nukes aren't flying, you're okay.
Yeah. We'll give it 10 minutes. I might go look out the window just to make sure I'm not on fire.
Yeah, please.
Really quickly.
Please. Well, we got to wrap it up anyway. We hit our time limit. I will just say, Thorhammer says, how much extra footage do you have lying around for filming? We have a lot of extra footage. Cool. And there's a couple good things that are coming out that I think everyone will appreciate. We're also talking about moving the studio right now. So we'll talk about that next time.
I was just going to say about AI, though, before we make a go of it. I think AI is going to be, I'm going to use the word good really loosely, but in theory, it could be a good thing for sci-fi because it could make the special effects and things much quicker and cheaper to do, which is not going to be good for people that work in VFX at the moment because they're going to be getting the sack. But we won't notice. But it could lead to a bit of a renaissance in sci-fi. And one of the things I heard about when Stargate was cut was partly because of the budget. I'm like, well, just bring in AI. But one of the things was the executives apparently want to shift away from what would be sort of the traditional way of doing sci-fi at the moment to AI. And that's what these new executives at Amazon Paramount want to do. And it was one of the reasons why Stargate got cancelled. It could be a good thing for the consumer, but it's not a good thing for Hollywood. But if you start using AI to write things, that's where we need to, that's drawing the line for me. Writers to art, yeah, we're just going to get really a nonsense things of television where it's just so formulaic and there's nothing new because it'll just be rehash of old things. AI is fine as a tool. It shouldn't be used as something to create, but it could be used to create special effects cheaper and quicker, which might be a good thing for consumers, maybe. But once it stops, you won't know when to stop using it, is my view.
Yeah, Mad Dude, please send me an email, alec@axar.com. We can talk about AI filmmaking. Well, listen, we're going to wrap this up. We will hopefully be back next week. And in the meantime, please follow Jay. Sign up for his channel, Tachyon Pulse. Let me just
just search Pulse on the on YouTube, and you will
find Tachyon Pulse into YouTube. It'll pop up right at the top. Go subscribe to his channel. Hit the bell icon to get his notifications, and then just follow him every day because your videos are pretty short, right?
Yeah, about 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes mostly. I do videos most days.
There you go. So just you can pop them on in the background.
Yeah, headbutting the table, really speaking. I do. Yeah, it's always I always started off with news, rumor, and debate. I do debate videos. I do talk about the rumors, even if it annoys some people because they can't understand what a rumor means. And then when news happens, I can drop it pretty quickly. So when something big happens in sci-fi, I tend to drop videos pretty sharpish. So yeah, follow us if you want to know what's going on in these big franchises. As best as I can anyway. I've got a full-time job, so not always. Do my best.
And I'll leave you with this: is someone who makes an AI film an artist? I had this debate about 6 months ago with Mojo, who's doing amazing work in AI filmmaking. And I said, I don't know. I'm not convinced that a person who uses AI to make a film is an artist. I'm not convinced one way or another. I think it's an open question because maybe they're just a good computer programmer.
Yeah.
And not an artist.
That can do a really good job painting by numbers an artist. You get children doing it and it's a mess. You get somebody that's actually good at thing that can do something really good. But I think it would think if you've got a really good idea for a story and AI allows you to create that story on screen, you could argue that it's no different really than a writer using a word processor. It's a tool, you know?
It's a tool.
It's a way more advanced tool to allow your story to go online. But if you are generating a story using AI and then using AI to create it, you're just creating, you're just doing, AI is doing all the work, you're not doing anything. So you're not an artist, you're just creating things. So it depends. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just an interesting discussion. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Martin Arg, as always. We love all you guys, and we will be back next week. Maybe Friday. We'll let you know. And in the meantime, make sure you sign up for the Axanar newsletter because we are going to keep you guys posted about everything that's happening, including when we will put back up the Gathering Storm on the Axanar website, which should be next Monday or Tuesday. You'll get notifications of that, as well as the ability to stream and download all the Axanar films for free. And Jay and I will be back and keep you posted. We're going to be discussing having our own YouTube channel where we just do things like this once a week. But thank you for your support, everyone. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you, Jay. I'll see you around the galaxy.
Indeed. Or on YouTube. That might make more sense. We'll get lost in
that's probably easier. Cheers, everyone.